I guess first of all, how are you feeling physically? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, physically I feel great.
Where do you say you're at right now?
I feel great. This is the best I've felt in a long time.
Just how are you feeling heading in after that second surgery?
Amazing.
Simmons, shot clock winding down. Over Williams, air ball. And Simmons.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time, yes. Trying to tee up Ben Simmons, though. Deflects it.
I think people forget, me as a player when I'm healthy. I can play basketball. I'm pretty good, right?
You serious?
One player from the 2010s who underwhelmed severely is, of course, Ben Simmons. As Simmons at his peak, what he was viewed as a future pillar of the NBA going into the 2020s, and some said a potential Hall of Famer.
Michael Jordan's one of them. LeBron was one of them. Magic was one of them. I feel that strongly with Ben Simmons.
Nets able to track down the long rebound, and Simmons.
And I am more interested in watching Ben Simmons tomorrow night than I am watching LeBron tonight.
The Brooklyn Nets, now Simmons, 2 to shoot. Simmons, reluctant shooter, and there's what?
So that take right there obviously aged like milk, and for someone like Ben Simmons, even at his best, this guy was severely flawed and had no jump shot outside of 2 feet. And if you compare rookie Ben Simmons to his last year in Philadelphia, and this guy's overall game, what did he improve in? Was he a better passer? Not really. Better scorer? No. Was he more efficient? Barely. Ben Simmons' so-called improvement evolution in Philadelphia really never took place. And guys like Coward, who dubbed him kind of the next LeBron, the next Magic Johnson, I mean, those takes, they died within a couple of seasons.
Admits. Simmons, a little too much on it.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
Ben Simmons, in a lot of ways, is the worst traits of Zion Williamson, as well as Paul George. As much like Zion, Ben Simmons from day one coasted on physical gifts. And of course, when those gifts diminished, he was always hurt, banged up, not healthy. And when he was healthy, his game really hadn't evolved since his first year in the NBA. And looking at Simmons' time in Brooklyn, I mean, it's Zion-esque. 2022, 0 games. 23, 42, 24, 15, and 25, 29. Ben Simmons in 4.5 years has played a grand total of 86 games at a possible 295. Percentage-wise is 29.2, a fraction ahead of Zion Williamson in the exact same time period. So that right there, of course, is Ben Simmons really not playing basketball, not being healthy, and honestly, not wanting to. As for Ben Simmons, he's had this nice little scam going for close to 5 years. And here's how it goes. First off, in the summer, he'll have some workout video in an open gym where nobody's playing defense. He's dunking, shooting a couple of jump shots, and you're like, oh, Ben Simmons, he looks pretty good. Then, of course, training camp comes. He's saying I'm 100% healthy, I'm better than I've ever been. He sounds confident, he looks confident. Then, of course, goes out and plays, puts up a triple single, and within 2 weeks, he's hurt, injured, and done for the season.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Like I said earlier, Ben Simmons is the worst traits of Zion Williamson, as well as Paul George. But of course, unlike Zion, there is no upside potential. Even a 1% chance Ben Simmons returns to all-star form, even an average NBA player's form. And looking at the Paul George side of Ben Simmons, it's quite simple. This guy, just like PG, is overpaid, entitled, and has this arrogance and ego. He's an all-time great NBA legend, when in reality, he's a glorified joke to every NBA fan.
Simmons with a fadeaway jumper.
Goes in.
The attitude and ego of Ben Simmons compared to his playstyle production is really out of whack. And here's the bad thing. Unlike a Paul George, he's not a has-been. He's a never was. PJ back in his prime made a couple East Finals, even one West Finals. Ben Simmons' biggest playoff accomplishment is making the second round versus the Hawks in a Game 7, which of course he choked in. And speaking of that choke job, I'll never forget it. Ben Simmons in 2021-2022 used mental health to escape Philadelphia. And look, mental health is a serious thing, shouldn't be taken lightly, we all get that. But in Ben Simmons' case, he used mental health as an excuse to get traded and get out of town. Using mental health in that regard, it's downright slimy and disgusting. Because of course Ben Simmons, dealing with his quote-unquote mental health issues, had no problem trolling Philadelphia when they got bounced versus Boston in that year's postseason. So the entire mental health excuse, it's always really bugged me, and looking at Simmons' behavior post that claim, it once again proves this guy just used an excuse to get out of Philadelphia.
You disgust me.
My biggest problem with modern day NBA players, modern day stars, and of course Ben Simmons, it is never their fault. It's the teammates, their co-star, the coaching staff, it's the owner, the GM, even the fans. So a lot of these players, it's never their fault. They cannot be blamed for anything. And looking at that Game 7 versus the Hawks where Ben Simmons just gagged a wide open layup, even till this day this dude will not own up to it and own his own mistakes in the postseason.
So I'm thinking he's going to come full blown, and I see Matisse going down. Matisse is athletic and get up. So I'm thinking, okay, quick pass, he's going to flush it, not knowing how much space there was. It happened so quick that you just make a read. That's how I'm thinking. And I didn't realize how, everyone's posting. I'm like, is that big?
For a lot of NBA players, athletes in general, one of their biggest problems is being surrounded by yes men who never tell them they're wrong or at fault. And for someone like Ben Simmons, of course it is on him, but the guys surrounding him just gotta be feeding into his ego, never telling him he's wrong even once. And to contrast Ben Simmons' era versus past eras, even basketball 10-15 years ago, guys back in those eras, they wanted to play and looked for every excuse to get back on the court. For someone like Ben Simmons, he looks for every excuse not to be on the court. Actually, check that. All of a sudden, Ben Simmons now 25, actually wants to play basketball, doesn't want the Nets tanking or losing on purpose. Now, is Ben Simmons some competitor who wants to play and compete? Of course not. This year for Ben Simmons, the final year of his massive bloated contract, which is 5 years, $180 million.
It's very convenient.
For Ben Simmons playing basketball, all it's about is making money. And this year for him, unfortunately, his last year in his life, he'll make upwards of $40 million. And I think for a lot of fans, we kind of forget that, because Ben Simmons nowadays is largely irrelevant. But this guy, this very year, is making $40.3 million, which ranked 27th overall in NBA salaries. The guys he's ahead of, you have SGA, the odds-on MVP, Jason Tatum, an NBA champion, Donovan Mitchell, who has the best record in the NBA, as well as De'Aaron Fox. Think about that. Ben Simmons right now makes more money than all those guys.
All you care about is money.
This guy making that much money being a triple single, I mean, it's the greatest heist ever pulled off in NBA history. And the great thing about this is, he's playing for the Nets. Not even people in Brooklyn care about the Nets, let alone New Yorkers. So honestly, who's going to complain? Nobody. If he was on the Knicks, the Lakers, the Mavericks, even teams like the Heat, maybe the Pistons, he'd get pushed back and slack for his massive contract and awful production. But in Brooklyn, just kind of skates by, cashes paychecks, and keeps on moving. And look at Ben Simmons last year, the amount of money he made was nearly $38 million. If you break that down by games played versus salary, Ben Simmons on average made $2.5 million per game played. Break it down by total made shots, he had 43. Money-wise, that's over $500,000 per basket. And per minute, it's even more astounding. This guy on average made $100K per minute just last season. If you're going to talk the biggest problems in the NBA, it starts with people like Ben Simmons getting paid boatloads of money to not even suit up and play basketball on a weekly basis. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.